What is going on, everybody? My name is Nick, and welcome to another episode of the Good Schmidt podcast. My guest for today is Gunnar Schlender. He's on the Whitewater cross country and track and field team. We used to be teammates with them. He is a Phi Ed major, and he's a 7-time All-American. And we're here at the cross country house in Whitewater. Bringing it to you live from outside. We got this dope setup going on here.
Oh yeah.
And in this episode, we're going to be recapping some of the events from the Olympic Games and then some other topics toward the end, like Grand Slam track. So to start off, we're going to discuss the men's 1500, in which Cole Hockard took the victory. Great kick at the end. He set the Olympic record running 3:27.65. For the silver, Josh Kerr took that, running a British national record of 3:27.79, and then Jarden Goose was third, 3:27.80. Other notable athletes in this race were, of course, Jakob Ingebrigtsen was fourth, so he just missed out on the podium, ran 3:28.24, and then Hobbs Kessler was fifth, running a PB of 3:29.45. So first question I got for you here, Gunnar, is what do you think of Cole Hockard's gold medal performance in this 1500 final in Paris?
First of all, Schmidt, I want to thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And
it's a long time coming.
I want to thank you for helping me drag this log from across the backyard.
You're welcome.
Those are my two thanks that need to be given out right off the bat. What do I think of Cole Hockard's performance? I think that this is a big win, not only for Cole Hockard. I think it was a big win for the United States of America middle distance scene. In no world would you imagine two Americans on the podium before Jakob in a world final, especially the Olympic final. And it happened. So I think it was as equal a win for the United States of America as it was for Cole Hockard. I mean, what a breakthrough race for Cole Hockard, Olympic champion in the most hotly contested event at this year's Olympic Games, at least on the distance side, you could argue. I mean, the 100, we might touch on that later, we'll see, but the 100 was hotly tested.
As close as you could get.
1500 was coming in, had just as much hype. That was the event.
NBC really hyped it up, which was great to see. You got a lot of eyeballs on it.
I mean, there's been jokes made, but Cole Hockard from the top rope, surprising the favorites.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I was just as shocked as anyone. And
I was shocked that Josh Kerr did not walk away with the gold medal in that. Just based on how it was playing out.
The nuance of surprises that happened was the biggest part, because it's not only Jakob loses, it's Jakob misses out on the podium.
That was surprising
it's
too.
It's not only Jakob misses out on the podium, it's two Americans beat him. And it's not only two Americans beat him, it's one of the Americans won the race and set an Olympic record in a PB. And it's not only that, it's amidst all this, Josh Kerr gets another silver.
He does.
And for all of the hype that those two had been garnering through the whole Olympic build, it was destined that one of them was going to beat the other and win a gold medal, and that didn't happen. So I think what it did is it really showed the true depth of the 1500 globally right now, but I think it showed the true depth of the 1500 in America. And I know you want to talk about Hobbs Kessler, so we can get into that right now if you want.
Definitely want to talk about him. So just seeing him throughout the season, like where he starts out like indoor, and even before then, he was struggling to pace and like running tactical races. That's always been a struggle for him.
Yeah.
But here, like not just here, but like in recent races, like the trials and the Olympics, you see that he's able to do that. And
100%.
he just continues to improve in any style race. I think his style like plays really well in a championship racing. And like going into LA, I think he'll be one of the favorites to be on the podium.
I agree. And yeah, impressive stuff. Doubling at his first ever Olympics. I think the most impressive thing that Hobbs Kessler did this season is qualify in two events. I mean, that's an incredibly hard thing to do. And not only did he do that, he came back at the Olympics and ran incredibly well.
He sure did.
I mean, we're talking about, and he was pretty vocal.
He was fifth, but he ran really well in this 15.
And we're talking about a guy who was pretty vocal about getting COVID after the trials. He probably wasn't in the spot he wanted to be in exiting trials weekend, as far as, I shouldn't say that, exiting the week after trials weekend. with how he was feeling and how his body was responding, and he just kept his head down and paid off.
He works so hard.
Fifth at his first ever Olympics. So
yeah, I just love how like determined he runs.
Yeah.
He just runs so hard. And
he does. He really does.
in that 800 in the trials, what he looked good in that
I
race.
agree.
Yeah, I just feel like he's destined to become a gold medalist. Maybe not in LA, but in the Olympics after that, if he continues to improve like he's shown. And he's still only 22. He's young.
So I think the future.
I think he's the future.
The future is very bright for Hobbs Kessler. That is another reason that race was such a massive leap for American distance running and mid-distance running especially, was just the hype around the event and the fact that we put 3 Americans in the top 5. Yeah, the only people that broke up the contingent of Americans was the 2 stars, Jakob and Josh Kerr.
Josh Kerr, yeah.
So
but we knew they were going to be up there.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Jakob's worst day, he gets 4th. It probably was about the worst day he could have had realistically, and that's the way it goes.
No, I don't even think he ran like poorly. It's just he was outclassed by the field by Josh Kerr and Cole Hawker. Just ran better on the day. So the 1500 is funny that way, like you were saying, it can be full. It can surprise. That's like the beauty of the event.
It is. It's an event where, as we saw in the 1500 final, if you don't gauge your effort perfectly, that can be the difference between winning a gold medal and going home as a 4th place finisher. And I think we saw that with Jakob, talking about this earlier, and just how he took it from the gun, which is an admirable strategy. But I think at the end of the day, that really cost him. And he said too that he probably just didn't gauge his effort as well as he would have liked. And I think that's the difference between the 1500 and an event like 5 and 10K, where it's you go out hard and you go over that theoretical line. There's guys that can pounce, and we saw that.
Yeah, if you go over if you red line, it can cost you, and that it did for Jakob there.
So.
Yeah, to me, that final put like American middle distance running on the map. I think there's a lot of young kids that will be inspired by this race.
I agree 100%.
That were inspired.
And then if you want to use this as a segue to the 5 and 10K, we talk about this on a greater scale. Not only do we have a presence in the middle distance scene, we yet again, for it feels like way too long.
I'm talking about Grant Fisher in the 5 and the 10.
Are back on the podium in the 5 and the 10K.
Two bronze medals.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. So I don't know if you want to get into those races or what your plan is, but
yeah, we could get into the 5 next because I have the results up. Talk about Jakob again. He took gold in the 5,000.
We can touch on Jakob in the 15 because we haven't really talked about Jakob's.
Or we did just touch on Jakob in the 15.
We did, yeah. But his strategy. What did you think of that?
His strategy in the 15 or in the 5?
What did you think of his strategy in the 15 final?
In the 15, I think he could have sat back a little bit more. That's just, for me, he went out a little too hard. I think.
Do you think he should have led the whole time? Just ran slower, or what do you think his perfect race strategy would have been on that day to win?
Oh gosh, yeah, maybe for him, like it suits him to lead, so maybe he should have led the whole time. But I haven't seen him race enough to know like what works for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, if he would have gauged his effort a little bit more,
I think the result would have been a little bit more favorable. But yeah, I agree.
I think him and like Kerr should have traded off the lead. Like
it's just
that's
hard.
That's what I would have done, but it's hard to.
Olympic finals are.
I mean, the race is over now, so it's hard to.
Yeah, man versus man. No one's given an inch. So, yeah, it's interesting. Very excited for the upcoming World Championships.
In Tokyo,
what they have in store. Incredibly excited that the Olympics are back in the United States of America.
That'll be exciting.
Heading to LA in 2028. So, the 1500, just to kind of cap that off, is an event that I think is in very good hands for a lot of years.
It is.
And that's a good way we can kind of cement that Hobbs Kessler talk as well. 1500's in a good spot.
No, and Cole Hawker's still there, and Yard's still there. He's going to continue to get better.
Exactly.
He's another guy too that like if he runs better, if he can stand lead the whole time.
I agree. I think this cycle will probably be Josh Kerr's last cycle as a really, really big time name. I think after this he'll still be competitive, but he's heading into his 30s now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
And
Cole Hawker will be in his 30s too. I think he's 27 right now.
Okay, I'm not positive.
I'm not for sure on that.
Yeah.
I think he'll be in his 30s for the next cycle.
But yeah, that's something that will be interesting to monitor, is how these guys progress and how entering.
But those guys could still be. There's a good chance they'll still be in their prime though, in their 30s.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking more so from the perspective of the next Olympics is in 4 years, so everyone's 4 years older.
Right.
So now we have Jakob in the absolute prime of his athletic ability, like smack dab in the middle of his prime. He'll be 27.
But then who knows how many national and world records he'll have.
Exactly. And then we have those guys who, like Josh Kerr will be in his low 30s. Like you said,
Kessler will still be young.
Kessler will be.
He's still gonna be in his 20s.
He'll still be. He'll be 26 at the next Olympic.
Yeah, he's gonna be. If he's healthy, he's gonna be primed to go.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So.
And Yared too, still young.
Oh yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts on the 5K?
The 5K. I mean, that was impressive race by Jakob Ingebrigtsen for the gold. And then, Grant Fisher coming back and getting another bronze, doubling back from 10 was really impressive. Yeah, and then we had Ronald Kamoy, second, Kenya. And Graham Blanks ran really well in this race too. I didn't pay attention to him in the race, but seeing the result, it's a pretty impressive race by Graham Blanks too.
Was indeed.
Do you have anything else to add on the 5?
The 5? I just think the 5K showed Jakob's true specialty in track and field at this moment. It's going to be the 5K. And I think people who view him getting upset in the 1500 as him not succeeding at his main event, I think are viewing it wrong. Because I think at the end of the day, he's a 5,000 meter runner.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
He steps down to the 1500. Basically, because this is the only point in his career he'll be able to do that. Before he said, as he said multiple times, that he plans on moving up throughout the years. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out. But I just want to say that I think Jakob is an incredible 1500 runner. I don't think it's near his best event. I think his best event right now is probably the 3K, which we'll touch on later, his 3K world record that he set.
Oh, yeah, we should. Yeah, we'll touch on that.
The 5K, I mean, the man is incredible. He really is. The way it's just on a macro scale, the emotions that probably came with that 4th place finish and how he felt about it and how he felt about himself after. We know he's a highly competitive person, and I respect that greatly. He had to have been crushed
after that.
He talks a lot, and he didn't really back it up, and I think that was a moment where he had some reflection about who he is to the sport and the kind of person that he's making himself out to be. And he came back in that 5K, and not only was his maturity from the 1500 to the 5K final incredible, the way he handled the race was also incredible. I mean, methodical, classic Jakob racing style, gets boxed in with 500 to go, and just doesn't care. He's like, all right, I'm going to start chipping away. Chips away, and then just 200 to go. It's just a Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
Yeah,
half of a lap, victory lap. Yeah,
that's so well.
And Grant Fisher, man, what about that?
Yeah, finish? I definitely wanted to touch on that. Grant to me is more of a 10K runner. He dedicates all his training to the 10K, so I was just really impressed with that 5K performance as
agree, yeah.
As the 10K.
And the 10K, he could have been runner up. It was very close.
It was
between,
tight.
Who
was it? It was the Ethiopian Aragawe.
Yep.
Aragawe.
Aragawe kind of came at the end, especially in that last 50 meters. Grant was pretty clear the second place runner until that last 50 meters when Aragawa decided that he wanted to show up, and he dropped the hammer in that last 50 and kind of nipped Grant at the line. But I think, yeah, like you said, I think he very realistically could have came home with that weekend obviously in a variety of different medal positions, but
yeah, I don't know in the 5,000 if he would have beat Kimoy.
No, I
but
just think that
in the 10K,
the
double had a
double,
real shot at the silver.
The double medal is impressive, and I think that's great to talk about. But I think something that also needs to be talked about is the fact that he could have came home with a second place and a third place. Like, he very realistically could have gotten silver in that 10K.
Well, I just want to add too, he was the first American since Galen Rupp to win any kind of medal
and
in an Olympic final in the 10,000.
Some may argue that's the first legitimate 10,000 meter medal.
Yeah,
I don't know if we want to open that can of worms right now. I don't know. I don't know if we want to get into that.
I had to mention that because it hasn't been done in so long.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that. Galen Rupp, incredible runner.
Yeah, say what you want about him.
You don't know. You don't know.
Grant Fisher is the first American to do that.
First loved American to do it since.
I don't remember who was the last American to medal in the 5K, but like that.
Yeah.
Still.
Incredible.
It was incredible.
Incredible.
What an Olympics for him to bring home double medals.
Something that Galen Rupp can never do, I might add.
One of the toughest doubles you could possibly do, and there's one even tougher we'll talk about later with Safan Hassan. But
yeah,
the 5 and the 10K double, yeah, about as hard as you can get.
Yeah,
pulled
it's a tough
off
double.
Two bronze medals.
Yep, especially with the heats in the 5. Which, by the way, weren't the most smooth for Grant Fisher. He had to do probably a little bit more work than he would have liked to do in that 5K heat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great.
So impressive that he came back. I was almost more impressed with him coming back with that second bronze than the first. I mean, the first one, you can't deny that was amazing.
But I think it would be very easy to ride off into the sunset from that Olympic Games with one bronze medal in your pocket and kind of get passive. And
I just wonder with Grant if he still wants more, if he wants to upgrade that medal.
I definitely think
LA.
he does,
You
man.
think he wants to go for the golden, double gold in both events?
I mean,
or at least one gold.
He's from Michigan, but he went to college in California. The games are going to be in California. It's not going to be a homecoming, but this is a
pretty much as close as you can get to a homecoming.
This is the Olympic Games for him.
But he'll be back and see what he can do in LA.
Exactly. We'll see what he can do in Tokyo.
In Tokyo next year, yeah.
I think there's going to be great opportunities for him to do incredibly impressive things there as well.
Yeah, there'll be more opportunities next year for sure.
Exactly. Gets another year under his high school coach. Turning out in Utah, gets used to that rhythm a little bit more. I think it's going to be a dangerous.
Yeah, and he said on an interview with Citius Mag that he's really happy with the move out to Park City.
Yep.
He training at altitude's made a big difference for him, and you could see with performance at the Olympics.
I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I feel like this is something that might be changing a little bit now. Is 5K bronze medalist, 10K bronze medalist, and 2 of the best American marathoners we've seen in a lot of years coming out of the state of Utah.
From BYU, both from BYU.
I mean, historically, we haven't really seen that type of world-class production out of a state like Utah.
No, and I think you could attribute a lot of that to Coach Ed Eyestone over there. He's done a fantastic job.
He really has. So, shout out to Coach Ed Eyestone.
And we'll talk about Kenneth Rooks, too, but he's another BYU athlete.
Yeah, 3K.
Coached by
we were going to talk about that later,
Ed
but
Eyestone.
yes. The medals out of the state
and
of
James
Utah.
Corrigan, too, at the trials.
Qualified.
Yeah.
The state of Utah distance running scene well represented at this year's Olympic Games, which is usually something you'd hear out of a place like Boulder or Flagstaff. And don't get me wrong, those places are still they're still pumping out the best talent in the world, but
big training scene still in those areas.
But Utah's
just pumping out.
They are
athletes.
They're pumping out Olympic medalists right now.
They are.
So shout out
it's
to
just
Utah.
the place to be to train. I should mention it too. Kira D'Amato has gone out there to train for her next race. You're getting all kinds of athletes going out there to train.
It's becoming some sort of mecca.
It's becoming a distance running hotbed.
It is. It really is. So we'll have
interesting to see going forward if more athletes go out there to train.
Yeah,
or just go to BYU.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And
BYU going to win a national title for track and field, for cross country. We'll see.
They're looking good, man. They got a good squad. But I think it's going to be interesting to see that progression throughout the next couple of years here. What happens to the state of Utah in distance running? Because right now it's
It is a really
a
interesting
really, really
story.
big thing.
It is big there.
It's like you look at places that are pumping out good distance runners, and historically it's been, the two big ones, Boulder, Flagstaff. Obviously, when the Oregon Project was located in Portland, you would always argue Portland.
Yeah, if you want to get more of a behind the scenes on the Oregon Project, you should definitely read Kara Goucher's book, The Longest Race. There was some dark secrets revealed in that book.
Did you listen to the Rich Roll podcast with Kara Goucher?
I started listening to it. I didn't finish it yet.
Okay. Super good one there, too. I would recommend if you have a couple
But
hours to
there's a lot of parallels there.
There is, yeah. And they reference the book a lot.
I definitely recommend the book.
But yeah, back to the Utah thing. Holy crap. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to shout out Utah because they're doing great things. They're doing great things. So, yeah. I don't know what event you want to move on to next.
We want to move over to we're kind of already talking about the 10.
Yeah, we were talking about
I just want to mention mention the other medalists. We had Joshua Cheptegei from Uganda. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Cheptegei.
Yeah,
Cheptegei.
26:43 set the Olympic record there. Then we had Eric Galway, who we were talking about before, 26:43 for the bronze medal. And you also had Solomon Barega in this race. He was 7th, 26:44, and Jacob Kiblimo from Uganda, 26:46. He ran a season best.
Yeah.
I should mention too, Mohamed just missing out on the podium there, beat out by Grant Fisher.
Yeah, I can start this out. We want to talk about people that have had impacts on the sport for a long time. We talked about with the 1500 guys, like where are they going to progress after this as they enter the 30s, things like that. Mohamed's done a lot. He's been consistently at the top of this world for a long time, in specifically the 5 and 10K. And so, as a Madison grad, I feel like we're obligated to give Mohamed a shout out.
Yeah, he should, even though he didn't medal, still give him a shout. Out.
So shout out to Mohamed, a UW-Madison graduate. Team national title there. I believe it was 2011. They won the national title. One of the first years under Mick Byrne. So shout out to Mohamed, even though he didn't get a medal. He's got grit and he's done a lot for the sport.
He has.
So he's Mohamed fan club.
And I wanted to say too that this was a big moment for Cheptegei. I felt like he was definitely due for a medal.
Legacy on the line type of moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's ran so well in major races recently, but he just hasn't won the quote unquote big one. And here he did.
Yeah.
Really well run race.
Yeah, I agree. Cheptegei struggled. He really has.
He has struggled though in recent years.
In world championships world championships, global races that end up with a tactical sort of affair, he struggled, and I think that worried some people. But yeah, this 10K reminded me a lot of the vintage Mo Farah 10Ks at the Olympic
it was kind of like that,
with a lot of East African countries throwing everything they have at one person to see if they can collectively take him down. And obviously, in this case, it did not work.
No.
And you end up with
Ethiopia tried, but they couldn't.
You end up with Yomif Kajaucha and Solomon Barega off the podium.
That was a surprise to me to see Barega and Kiplimo off the podium.
And Kiplimo. The thing is,
a world record holder too.
Yeah, it might. I think looking back, that strategy that they implemented, which if you didn't watch was frequent lead changes and frequent pace changes, is basically what it came down to from the Ethiopian squad. I think it ended up hurting Kiplimo a little bit, but it didn't get Cheptegei.
No, it worked for him.
Cheptegei ran a heck of a race, and I think that race, like I said before, for Cheptegei is one of those that you're going to look back on when he's been retired for a couple of years and be like, how good actually was Cheptegei? And you're like, he's won a lot.
I mean, to me, he is
and he's run really, really fast.
Yeah.
He really has. And he's taken stabs at longer road races, and they haven't necessarily gone to plan.
No.
He debuted his marathon, didn't really hit a time that many would consider world-class nowadays in the marathon. I'm not sure exactly what he ran, but it was slower than he was hoping for. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to try to pull that up. Just Cheptegei's marathon results.
But that one, That was big. That race was big for him.
It really was. It really was. Yep.
He's such an important figure in the sport, I think.
He is. And do you want to talk about? We didn't even talk about that in the 5K. Do you want to talk about the absence of Kiplimo and Cheptegei in that 5K final?
Yeah, I feel like we really felt their absence. It would have added a whole new wrinkle to the 5K.
I agree, and it's interesting.
It's interesting that they didn't want to double. They just threw all their eggs into the 10K.
Yeah, that whole situation's interesting, and I don't know what exactly went down, but yeah, and I don't know if you want to touch on the women's side in the absence of the Jamaican women's sprinters.
Yeah, I should even mention, we didn't even see Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price.
Yeah.
Which was just so weird. Like, I'm so used to seeing her at big competitions.
Staple.
She's a staple. And no Elaine Thompson-Hurrah either. That, I feel like, for fans of sprinting, they really missed out.
They did.
The Jamaican women in there.
Yeah.
But going back to the 10K, what do you think of Nico Young's performance?
Okay, gutsy.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Gutsy. Yeah, I think Nico Young. I think the interesting thing you mentioned Graham Blanks earlier is, although Nico Young's performance was incredibly impressive, and Parker Valaby obviously ran well.
She ran well for.
Not a huge fan. Not a huge fan, I will say.
Oh, you're not?
Talented runner. Not a huge fan of the personality and the persona that she gives off. Great runner.
Yeah, she's a great.
No one's denying that. She just could be a little bit less sometimes. That's all. I
get what you're saying.
Nico Young ran incredible. I think American distance athletes should be most excited about Graham Blanks moving forward.
Really?
Coming off a less than ideal winter build, which we knew, winter into spring, dinged up.
And technically, he didn't even qualify. He got in because of world rankings over
Parker Wolf of North
Carolina. Yeah.
So who placed the highest is kind of what it comes down to. I get like what Nico did was incredibly impressive. He ran super fast. Everybody in that race.
I think Nico's performance was overlooked a little bit. I overlooked it myself.
He obviously sets the Olympic record, like so many in that race did. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if you have the stats up there. How many set the Olympic record in that race?
There's a bunch of national records too. Yeah, I'd have to see what the I'd have to look up what the Olympic record is.
Okay, but incredible race from him. But yeah, Graham Blanks, man. I think Graham Blanks is the future. And that's how I feel. Everyone knows how he trains. When he's fit, he's really fit. This is a guy that's beat Nico Young at cross country nationals.
Yeah, he won the national title in 2023.
Yes, so I think.
Yeah, he may be the future of the event.
Not just in the 10K, but just in general.
Or just in general for the 5 and the 10. Yeah.
And Nico's incredibly talented and he's super good, but I just think Graham Blanks is, if not more potentials is there, there's for sure the equal or more potential out of Graham Blanks.
Yeah, I'd say he has equal potential with Nico Young.
But yeah, Nico ran incredible. Very impressive the way he just hung in. Like you're just kind of waiting for him to dangle off the back of the pack and then kind of just fade. But he just hung in for so long.
He did.
And fought hard. He really, really fought hard. Incredible. And he was rewarded. He ran a great race.
Should mention too that it wasn't the day that Woody Kincaid was hoping for.
Yeah, and there's been lapses in consistency from Woody Kincaid throughout the last maybe 2 years, where he wasn't the U.S. 10,000 meter kind of dominator that he has been in the past, where he kind of showed up and he would win races pretty handily with that blistering kick of his. And I think after that, you could kind of tell that maybe he's slowing down a bit, or something's going on where he's not quite as sharp as he has been. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Something like health-wise that's going on with him, or like tactically he's got to change up with his training and
he's
race strategy.
Obviously, he still ran well.
Yeah, I didn't run terrible. It just was not the day he was hoping for.
Exactly. So Woody Kincaid will be interested to see how his career progresses. And maybe it's just a time to jump to the roads for a guy like that. I think Woody Kincaid could be incredibly successful at the half marathon.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know about the marathon, but I mean, he's got an engine. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention him because he's important.
Exactly. And it's just hard because he has so much leg speed. You don't want to see a guy like that have to go to the roads, but it might be time. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if it should be that or if he should just try stepping down a distance. Not sure.
I have no clue.
No clue what he should do next, but it's back to the drawing board for
it really is.
Woody
it really
Kincaid,
is.
for sure.
I think he's got some answers to find here in the next couple of months, years.
Yeah, I'm sure he's done a lot of reflecting since that race. And
I bet he has.
Yeah, maybe he race some more too.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe he'll be in Grand Slam track too. Men's marathon, we had Tamarat Tola setting the Olympic record on that, let's say, incredibly difficult marathon course.
Yeah.
Multiple steep hills on the course. We had that roller coaster hill that Lewis Johnson was talking about on the broadcast. Just Tamarat Tola looked so strong throughout that race.
I agree.
Incredibly consistent, and then running at 2:06. Very impressed with that. Yeah,
there's been glimpses of a race such as this for Tola for quite some time, I would say. But you do it at the Olympics, that solidifies who you are as a marathoner. It really does. I mean, that's when the respect for Kipchoge went through the roof. Because that knock was always on Kipchoge before he won Olympic marathons. Like, that's what makes the difference. You can run fast, but if you win Olympic marathons, people respect you. And he did that successfully. So now I'm intrigued for Tola. Like, where does he go from here? Is he going to try to run fast? Is he going to try to place higher in major marathons? Like, what's the next step for him? Because
I would say even both, but I think for him, logically, it would be to continue to place high in major marathons and then work that time down. Yeah. So we'll see how that progression plays out. Obviously, there's this talk about trying to run sub 2 hours in a natural way, if you will. Yeah,
in a not artificially
and unfortunately,
paced way.
the one guy that had a chance to do it is no longer with us.
Yeah, and I really feel. Yeah, I still feel so sad about the Kelvin Kiptum situation, and just one of my favorite runners, honestly, for the past 2 years. I think I can break my runners how much I like them in two categories: track and roads. By far my favorite road runner. I still think I give Jakob the nod in the track category. I just like how he is. But yeah, just heartbreaking, man.
It was so hard.
It's like you knew.
I was shocked when I heard
potential.
The potential is through the roof.
As a athlete, as a person, as a influencer to the sport, the sport lost so much.
He seemed like such a stand-up personality, individual. I think people didn't really talk about that either. The sport really just lost a lot that day. The sport lost a lot. It was like losing someone as important as Kipchoge.
100%.
Sport of running.
100%. Kelvin Kiptum. Yeah, I just think it was a loss in so many different areas, and it's incredibly sad.
I hate to go there when we're talking about the Olympic final, but it had to be mentioned.
It does have to be mentioned, and it's not just the fact that he would have most likely won the Olympic final had he been in it. It's also
who knows how fast he could have gone. We'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, you run under 2:01 at Chicago.
Yeah, I happened to catch the last maybe 2K last 2-3K of that race. He looked so smooth and running as fast as he was.
He's incredible.
I'd never seen anything like that in my life.
He was destined to be the first person to ever break 2 hours.
He would have. It was just
and he probably would have done it on a course that wasn't known for being incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Chicago's not known to be an incredibly fast marathon course. I mean, it's not slow by any means. He's not going to go out here and try to set the world record at Boston.
I think he was gunning for it at Rotterdam because that was supposed to be his next marathon.
Yeah. So sad, but
it's really sad.
Another sad thing is now it would appear that Kipchoge is not at his prime form anymore.
No, he realized that it wasn't his day, and he had to step off. He didn't finish.
Do you think he's got anything left in him?
It's hard to say. I think I don't think he's never really been a hilly marathoner. I still think he could run a fairly fast on a flat course, but I don't think he's in 202, 201 shape anymore. He could probably still run. I think he could still run a 205 at his best right now.
Yeah. It's just hard. It's just hard because he's so talented, and you knew this time was coming. But I think you don't know when the time has truly come. When is it over for him? When should he retire? Because if stuff like this keeps happening, is it really worth it for him to go on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he runs 205, then you have evidence that Bekele.
Bekele is done.
He's been putting down.
He's
been putting down times for a long time,
for
and
years.
he just keeps doing it. And obviously, he didn't have the games he was hoping for either. But holy crap,
he still ran well for his age. I mean,
I'll
give him that.
And
a 216. The results aren't coming up, but I think it was 2 hours and 16 minutes.
And there's been. Let's see if I can get him up for you. You can crop this part out.
But yeah, you talk about Bekele, just his longevity in the sport, especially on the track. He turned some incredible races in, and
he did. He really did.
Track and field.
I think the men's marathon, the biggest thing is what's going to happen next. I think that's not necessarily what you were expecting, but it's also unsurprising, the result. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I should mention too that Tola was a fill-in for Sise Lema from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So it was nice that it was good on his part that he was prepared to run in that just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. A talented runner, Ethiopian marathon team's always going to be tough to make.
They are.
It's one of those things where there's probably 5 guys that have a shot at getting medals. It just comes down to what happens on that day. And they have to take 3 guys, so it gets hard. It really does get hard to just make the teams, and that's kind of the thing too with
drawing straws for making their teams.
It gets hard. So
they'd go based off of they really rely on times when they're picking their teams, not necessarily who potentially could run well in a tactical race.
Yeah,
it's not like our system where the best 3 on the day qualify. I love our system for the marathon trials. I think it's the best system in the world. But Ethiopia and Kenya, they let politics kind of get in the way of
they do
making their marathon team. It's another way to do it.
It's not loading up, but
definitely, I definitely want to talk about the Americans, Connor Manson, Clayton Young.
Wow,
both running 2:08. We're both top 10.
Yes, 2 Americans in the top 10 in the marathon. A+ weekend for United States of America distance running and middle distance running. I've said that 8 times.
Yeah.
But it really was. I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible to watch. I think I've said incredible 35 times now as well.
I've said it so many times too. But the fact that they were running at the peak of their powers, basically almost PR'd on as challenging of a course at Paris.
Incredible. And Connor Mance has said that he maybe wasn't in the best shape he wanted to be in. He didn't have a
Connor
perfect build.
seemed like he had more in the tank. Too.
Connor
no,
said
he didn't have a perfect build.
Yeah, he didn't have a perfect build.
He was going through an injury, and he was aqua jogging or swimming for a bunch of his build.
Yeah, so incredible.
And Clayton's got to see a lot of his build through his YouTube series.
Yeah,
by far the best running series I've watched.
I was gonna say, it was
like watching a movie every episode.
It was great.
It was some of the
shout out to ASICS.
Shout out to the filmmaker. I think Andrew Storr, his name is.
Yeah,
ASICS for putting that together.
And shout out to Clayton Young for being willing to do it, because I feel like there are a lot of guys historically that haven't been willing to do it.
And shout out to his wife for being so supportive of it too, Ashley.
Shout out to everyone in Clayton Young's circle.
In his circle.
Really got an incredible one.
I gained a new appreciation for Clayton and his.
I did too, and I think you saw
circle
finally for once from an American, you saw the behind the scenes, and you saw what he was thinking, you saw how he was thinking, and you saw the dialogue between him and Coach Ed Eyestone, and you saw the hard days, and you saw the good days, and you saw everything.
His highs and his lowest of lows.
You saw everything in his build to Paris, and
to me, the interesting thing was it really took him. It wasn't a perfect build for him either. He struggled for the first like 6 to 8 weeks of that build.
He really did.
Mentally, really.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't hitting the times in his workouts that he thought he should be hitting, but he knew like based on his past marathon builds, like later on in the build, he knew he was going to be hitting the times he wanted, and
he was going to feel better. Yeah, and I think that whole series was just a great lesson for so many people in distance running, and obviously the marathons a step up. But it really is. It's like he was patient. Things were frustrating. He didn't know if he was going to be rewarded, but at the end, it was just so emotional and so great for him. Top 10 at the Olympics. Like, it feels like everything paid off. And we know how he struggled in the marathon in the years prior, too. Mm-hmm. This was really, these last 2 years have been his kind of breakout years.
They really have.
These are the years that he's proven himself in the marathon. And you can't help but think of all the stuff that went on behind the camera that you never really knew about. That prior to even this block, this build. And yeah, it was just so fun. So fun to watch.
The insight into the behind the scenes from that series is
really, really awesome.
It's really neat to see.
Yeah.
Just you got that human element.
Yeah.
And
There's
a lot of, outside of running, the lessons you learned from that. There's a lot of like life lessons you learned from him.
I feel like
a smart individual.
Yeah, I feel like Clayton Young really brought that Rocky element to the Olympic marathon. Like, you have the Ivan Dragos, who are like, all you know about them is the fact that they seem like they're built in some sort of lab, and they are just absolute animals on the roads. Like, they can do anything.
And Clayton is just this regular guy that like is hard on himself and pushes himself.
Exactly, and he's just like, I'm going to give you all of these behind the scenes. I'm going to show you that it's hard sometimes and I get knocked down and that I can do this with a family.
No, and like you said, it was really cool that he was willing to go through with that.
Yeah.
Like, because not a lot of people would be willing to share all that behind the scenes.
It's very vulnerable to be in that position. Like,
and just share it with your family.
Yeah. I mean, obviously now looking back, you're thinking like, what a perfect setup for him. Like, he got his whole build. He has his whole build on video now. Like, this is something that he's going to be able to look back on.
Look on it for years to come.
And talk about just to everyone about how that marathon went and how that build went. And it's like this trail of his whole build. But you think that now, but then you go back to week 3 or week 2 of his marathon build. And you're thinking, there's no certainty that this pays off. Like, he very well could have had a good build and something happens on that day and he's no longer being talked about as someone that ran well in Paris. And that takes vulnerability to do it, really does.
Yeah, it does.
It takes vulnerability to put your whole training build for a really, really high, the biggest marathon of your life on the internet for everyone to see if they want to.
Yeah.
So, impressive.
Yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to add about that. It was really, really cool to see like how involved his family was with those videos too.
I agree. Got the marathon results there, Schmidt.
They're coming up. His Olympic record was the 2:06.26. I believe the record was set in 2008 before this. Forget who had the record. And then silver was Belgium's Bashar Abdi, 2:06.47. They said on the broadcast he was like the first Belgian runner since like 1973 to win an Olympic medal.
Awesome.
So that was really awesome.
Shout Belgium.
Shout out to Belgium there. And then Benson Kipruto continues the Kenyan streak in the marathon of getting on the podium. With a 2:07 flat. And then Connor Mans, we touched on him. 2:08.12 for 8th. And then Clayton Young was 2:08.56
for 10th.
For 9th. They were 8th and 9th.
Okay.
I did want to mention too that that Japanese runner Kari Asaki, he ran really strong too. He was 6th, 2:07.32 PB. It's a good race from him.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm just trying to find.
Japan keeps producing solid marathon talent. That's good to see.
With them having the World Championships next year,
I really hope they can produce like a World Championship or Olympic champ marathoner, because that would be really cool.
That would be. Didn't mention him yet. Lenny Career ran a 2:18.
Yeah, tough
63.
day.
It was
Tough
a
day
tough day
for
for
Lenny.
him.
But hey, he made it. You know, there was
was-
questions as to whether or not he'd even be there.
Right, he had to wait for months to see if he even
Yeah.
made it. And he had to wait till like early May to find out if he would qualify. There we go. I was looking for Bekele. Bekele, faster than I remember. He ran at 2:12 for 39.
Impressive.
I mean, it's still impressive at
Yeah.
his age. I think he's like 42 now.
Yeah, it's insane.
Then we touched on Kipchoge. It's not his day. But,
DNF.
yeah.
I do want to touch on Yassine Abdallah.
He was 33rd.
33rd.
2:11:41 national record for South Sudan.
A collegiate athlete. I don't know if you know about this, Schmidt. Yassine Abdallah, he ran for the University of Tennessee outdoor. He's running for the University of Arkansas in cross country right now.
Oh, he is right now.
So he was kind of in the middle of a build. He kind of just used like track training.
He uses track training to
run. He did marathon specific workouts after the fact, and he kind of
for
was
the Olympic
prepping.
marathon.
He was kind of prepping for it, but he got the call that he could run, and he showed up. He really did. 2:11 in your marathon debut on that course to get 33rd at the Olympics.
That is impressive. I know I kind of touched on this already, but that was the most difficult Olympic marathon course like in history. I mean,
you got to question what kind of shape he's in.
Yeah, well, what is he going to do in Arkansas this year? That will be interesting.
Shout out to Nick Harden.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wasn't aware of him, so yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Shout out Yassine Abdallah. Got a YouTube channel if anyone wants to check it out. Just kind of some funny stuff on there. Yeah. Schmidt, you'd probably like it. Check it out.
Moving over to the women's marathon here. Have to talk about Safan Hassan.
Yep.
Took the gold medal. Not only in the marathon, but she won a bronze over on the track in the 5 and the 10. Just the craziest triple like imaginable, and she pulled it off.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about that, Schmidt. I can't lie to you.
She's a different breed of human being. That's what I have to say about that.
It's just
something I've never.
It's literally just mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling.
Will Ferrell says in Blades of Glory, mind-boggling. That's what it's from. It's from Blades of Glory.
From Blades of Glory.
He says mind-boggling. But yeah, mind-boggling. Because it feels like you're bottling your mind.
Just one of those like mic drop moments that
crazy.
She capped it off with this marathon. Not only winning the gold, but she set the Olympic record, 2:22:55.
In a sprint-ish finish.
Yeah, it was a kick at the end between Tigist of Ethiopia, who took the silver, who looked strong throughout the race too, but Hassan got her with her 5K speed.
It's incredible. I really don't have many words for it.
I'm at a loss for words.
I can't think of something to talk about regarding it just because it was so insane.
To me though, not just that double or triple that was insane, just that how that race played out.
Yeah.
One of the better marathons I've ever watched.
I agree.
She sat back. Hassan just sat back. She was unassuming the whole time. Stayed with the lead pack, and she waited till like the last 2K to take the lead.
Make a move.
Yeah, Asefa too of Ethiopia, she ran really well throughout. She's the world record holder. Oh, she ran a 2:11 at London.
Crazy.
She ran really well here to get the silver, 2:22:58. And then another lady who's tough as nails, Helen Oviri.
Yeah.
Took third, 2:23:10 for a PB. She's been a staple on the track and on the road.
She has.
On the side over the last few years.
Trains out in Boulder, so that's cool. But
she's running New York, and
yeah.
She's an animal. Sharon Laketti was fourth. She was in that lead pack for a while. Kind of fell off there towards the end. Same with Aman Mauricio Senkule from Ethiopia. She was 2:23 for fifth. And then another Japanese athlete finishing sixth.
Nice.
Yuka Suzuki. Same age as me.
Dang.
And the same height.
Nice.
She might be like my clone, but
she might be like your long-lost sister.
My long-lost sister, maybe.
Yeah, Schmidt.
And she looked so good.
Yeah, she's definitely a long-lost sister. Yeah.
I'm curious to see what she does and the other male Japanese athlete do going forward.
You have to follow her closely now that you know you're related to her.
Yeah, my long-lost sister.
Maybe that's why you like anime so much, man. You like anime,
I like it
right?
because of the storytelling.
Oh, you don't like it because maybe you're secretly.
No, I like the anime girls too.
Maybe you're secret. You like what?
Anime girls.
Girls?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
They're designed.
The way that.
Interesting.
Wait, in the anime or just in general?
How they draw the characters.
Oh, okay.
So interesting.
Okay. I thought we were.
Topic,
I thought we were gonna get way more off topic, but yeah.
No, I like anime because they go like more in, not always in depth, but like they try to like they don't always try to teach you a life lesson, but the stories are just so like intriguing
and complex.
It's pretty complex.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree.
I like the character designs too. That's
I agree. Okay, yeah.
And the soundtracks. But anyways,
yeah,
topic here.
Yeah, we're getting off topic.
Way off topic. Going back to the women's marathon here, I was happy to see Dakota Lindworm.
Yeah.
Run well.
Ran well.
She was 12th.
Top American.
44. I don't think anybody saw that coming, but if you follow her on Strava, you knew she was gonna do well.
Yeah. You follow her on Strava?
Yeah, I do. I think some people probably were a little surprised that she beat out Emily Sisson. It's 2:29. No, I wasn't too surprised actually with that.
She ran really well.
By Dakota.
Yeah.
About halfway too, she actually had the lead for a little bit.
Yep.
Just by running their consistent pace that she was doing, so everybody else slowed down for a bit, and then they caught back up and really got her. But
yeah, and she's from trains in Minnesota, so that's always cool.
Minnesota Distance League.
Yep. So shout out to them.
Her boyfriend, Montana, is a videographer.
Awesome.
Dad too.
I did not know that.
She runs with her dog Augie. If you follow her on Strava, she'll say like 6 miles with Augie. That's her dog. Nice. Cool. Shout out to Dakota's dog. Nugget about Dakota is all of her like titles of her runs are Taylor Swift lyrics. So for all you Swifties out there,
go check it out.
Go check that out.
Go check it out on Strava.
Check out Dakota Lindworm on Strava.
That's awesome.
All her titles are song lyrics.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I was surprised actually that she beat Paris Chepchirchir, the London champ from this year. I thought she was gonna have a way better race than she did. I had her on the podium. I thought she'd be on the podium. Yeah. But just kind of fell off. She couldn't hang on. Dakota got her. Yeah. It's cool to see. Marathon's hard, man. It is. You never done one, but it looks incredibly hard. It sounds incredibly hard. There's just so many variables. There are. And then especially mindful of fueling. Then you throw in the very hilly course, and it only adds to the complexities around it. But yeah. It's kind of off topic, but not really. But the training is just so different for a marathon. It's not just about volume, but it's about like. We were kind of talking about this before, but you really have to be like cognizant of gauging your effort in the marathon, even more so than the 5K, because it can come back to bite you in that last 10K critical point. Yeah, I mean they say half marathons or halfway point in a marathon is 20 miles. Yeah, the last 10K. For people that are educated in marathoning, it's 20 miles is halfway, not 13.1. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. If you're dying or you hit the wall by that point, it's probably not going to go well. Yeah. Yeah, going back to this race, just thought Chepchirchir was going to do better, but she finished. Anything can happen. Lower. Yeah, anything can happen there. I mentioned Emily Sisson. She ran a 2:29 for 23rd. I should mention too, there was some controversy surrounding this race about Fiona O'Keefe dropping out. She had a injury, I believe. She started, ran a little bit, like. And had to drop out. Yeah. Hurt it too bad. Limped a little bit. Yeah. A little bit. I mean, to me, I see that as it's kind of admirable that you're starting the race. Like some people see it as, like should have given that spot. A wasted spot. Put Jess on. Yeah. But I don't see it as that. I think she earned her spot. She deserved to at least try to win the race. But if she's hurting too bad, she made the decision not to run well enough in advancing for the scene. Yeah. Jess McClain in there, but. It's unfortunate to see, but we'll be back. It really was unfortunate, and I think that's all I can really say. I don't know what her situation was. I don't exactly know. Yeah, you don't. And even if you do know, you don't really know. Like you don't know how her training was. You don't know what's been going on. You don't know how bad it hurts. You don't know any of these things. You don't know the timetables for everything. Like it could have literally been something that got aggravated in the travel over, or something that she was managing in her own environment, and then when she got. From what I've heard, she was managing this injury for a little bit. Yeah. Before even flying out there, she dealing with this hip injury, I believe.
Yeah, so you don't know the situation. I think it's not appropriate to judge. She did what she did, and she thought it was best for everyone, and she earned the spot, so she earns that right to make the decision about what happens.
Admirable.
Yeah.
I just thought it was poor on Team USA's part. Whoever made the decision to fly, they flew Justin McLean out there. Like, they didn't tell her that, like, she didn't. I don't think she knew Fiona was injured. But she thought, oh, maybe I might have to step in, and then she gets there and finds out that Fiona was gonna race. So I think they did Justin McLean dirty there.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they could have handled that better.
Yeah, they kind of taunted her a little bit with that one.
I feel bad for both of them, really, is the bottom line.
Yeah, it's just not a pleasant situation.
No, and Justin McLean's a dang good runner too. She's been consistent. She didn't have a contract for a while, and then she came back and placed fourth at not only the marathon trials but the track trials too.
Yeah.
That's super consistent.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, just to see what happens next week. You don't know if she goes from here.
Yeah.
But I totally get why she wanted to start. I mean, she earned the spot, and if you don't start, you don't have the title of Olympian. So, you know, with Yarden, he was injured during Tokyo, and he couldn't there, but he didn't start. So considered an Olympian.
Interesting stuff, man.
Interesting. I should mention too, it's kind of parallels with Fiona Pete's story, but Des Linden was dealing with an injury, I think in 2012 when she tried to start. Same similar kind of situation with Fiona Pete. So not the first time something like this has happened.
Yeah, I mean, marathoners work really hard. It's not a secret.
Yeah, it is.
Something is bound to pop up every once in a while. So.
But yeah, that women's marathon was really compelling. Great race.
It was.
I wanted to touch on the 400 and
Quincy Hall
performance.
Yeah.
He just looked so bad for like
that's
90% of that race. He looked terrible.
That's been the story of Quincy Hall's season, though. I mean, like he just comes out of nowhere.
It was like he was shot of a cannon.
Yeah.
100 meters.
Yeah.
It was.
He's really, really fun to watch. He is. It was great entertainer. Great entertainer.
Yeah, that was really the only thing I wanted to touch on the 400. Quincy Hall.
It's impressive. Impressive stuff.
Both these for the men's steeplechase, the gold medalist was a Moroccan. Oh, he's definitely gonna butcher his name here. So Fani El Bakale. Oh yeah, El Bakale from Morocco. 806.05 season best. And the silver medalist, waiting to talk about him. Kenneth Brooks from the United States. 806.41 personal best. From Utah. Another Utah athlete.
Crazy. Obviously, James Corrigan didn't have the Olympics he really wanted, but incredible improvement from him, from even throughout this year, to even make the team. And then Kenneth Brooks, the silver medal, pretty unexpected.
Honestly, he was the only one that him and Hillary Bohr, I feel like, were the only ones that could see that he was going to be on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, good for the United States of America.
Really great for the United States.
Really good.
That medal, along with Cole Hawker's medals, were like two of the most important medals of the entire game.
Just absolutely incredible. So, had a medalist in the 3K steeplechase. Had a medalist in the two medalists in the 1500. A medalist in the 5K, medalist in the 10K, and then 8th and 9th place finishers in the men's marathon. Pretty good weekend.
Really neat to see middle distance and distance runners showing out for Team USA. Yeah. In events you don't normally see medals like the steeplechase.
Exactly. So good for the sport.
And Kenneth Brooks, he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah.
He's still young. He took 2 years off for a Mormon missionary when he was in Utah, and he worked hard to get back and qualified for the Olympics this year, winning the U.S. title, and then now getting a silver medal. Just wild.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And he just barely got silver too. He edged out the bronze medalist Abraham Gibbelot by 0.6 of a second.
Germa.
And Germa too.
With the fall.
Germa with the fall, yeah.
Pretty crazy fall.
That was pretty crazy.
I think the podium would have looked differently, obviously, if he was in there.
Oh yeah, would have.
But
I think, in my opinion,
that's part of that event.
Verma would have won, in my opinion. If he would have either would have won or would have been second behind Abakale.
I think so as well. That's part of that event, Schmidt. You know how it goes. So
it's crazy too. Rooks was not that far off of Abakale. I don't think he was gonna catch him, but
it's pretty crazy.
He was that like less than a second away from.
And no one really knows if Abakale was at full strength for that.
No.
There's rumors that he wasn't super fit. So you never really know, but still insane from Kenneth Rooks.
Yeah, that was one of the most insane races of the entire Olympics.
It was. Truly was.
That's our boy Christian's main event.
Yeah.
See what he can do.
Be interested to see what he does this year.
Yeah, I was impressed that he barely missed out on the trials.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there.
Portland.
I think he's gonna make it for LA. I really do. He stays the course.
That's the plan.